You aren't prioritizing sleep. You aren't prioritizing stress management. You aren't prioritizing blood sugar balance. You aren't prioritizing getting in nutrient-dense food. You aren't prioritizing getting in movement. Those are your foundations. We cannot get biohacking happy. We can't get supplement happy without the foundations. What's up, ladies? So today we're going to be talking about the 5 reasons why you have hormone imbalances. You can also think about it as being hormone resistant. Like you do all of the things, but you aren't noticing results. Okay, we're going to talk about that today. And I'm really excited about it. So I actually talked about this topic on Ben Azadi's podcast, and it was such a good conversation. I had to bring it to you because you all want to hear it too. Very quick side note before we start, because these things are really good. But if you're watching the YouTube version of this, or if you're listening to the audio, go to the YouTube version and please tell me if you like my plant. Please. Actually, don't tell me if you don't like my plant because I don't want to know. But if you do like my plant, please tell me because it's real. And if you know me, I am a plant killer. No. I used to be a plant killer, but now I am a plant thriver and my plants live. But anyway, this one is still, it's looking pretty good. Don't ask me what kind of plant it is because I don't know. But if you know, you can tell me. And I don't know, one of these leaves is a little bent, so maybe it's not doing as great as I thought it was. But it's not too dry. It's still green. All of the leaves are still there. And it's alive. And if you know Leah and her past of plant killing, and this is a really big deal. So you can come tell me how beautiful my plant is. I just wanted something to break up the background of the drab brown back there. But another thing that I'm thinking of doing, and I promise we'll get into this topic of hormones, I promise, is I feel like we could put like this little like lettering behind me that said like balancing hormones naturally. I think that would be so cute. You know, I know I could put up like all my certifications up there, you know, that look all fancy. It's like, oh my goodness, look at all that alphabet soup behind Leah's name. But I feel like it might just be prettier to have the letters or the words balancing hormones naturally. I don't know. I would love your opinion. If you're an interior designer, come talk to me. Actually, just send me a message. I would love to know. Okay. So on to the things about why you're having hormonal issues. Are we ready? Okay. Hands down. Number 1, you have normal hormone panels. Your hormone labs say that they're normal. Everything says it's fine. Now, we know normal is not optimal. So even if it says that your hormone panels are normal, again, I do look at functional ranges. So I'm going to be looking for optimal, which is a much tighter range versus normal. So that's hands down first where I would start. But secondly, this may be something that's going on at a cellular level. So, for example, if your thyroid labs are fine, maybe they're even optimal, but you have every symptom of hormone thyroid imbalance under the sun. You are losing your hair. You have dry skin. You have cold hands and feet. You can't lose weight. Your body temp is really low, but your thyroid labs keep coming back normal. Well, let's look at a cellular level. Let's look at minerals. I talk about minerals all the time, and this is why. Because one of your minerals' jobs, potassium, one of its jobs is to sensitize your cell to your thyroid hormone. So your thyroid can be doing everything that it's supposed to. And potassium over here is just, depleted and gone and tanked. And your cells just go, what do we do with that thyroid hormone? What do we do with it? I don't know. What do we do with it? Yeah. Cellular hypothyroidism. It happens before glandular. Now, the reason why we're going to pick on potassium for a second is because it's also your stress mineral, which means the more stressed you are, the more depleted you are in potassium. The more depleted you are in potassium, the more susceptible you are to stress. And we have this fun, vicious circle. And this is also another big reason why managing stress, regulating your nervous system is a phenomenal way to also support your thyroid. Good old potassium. Now, please, I beg of you, do not go out and supplement with potassium. Do not do it. You must make sure that you test first. Okay. So if we are tested and then you know that you need it, then you can do that. Otherwise, focus on potassium-rich foods, okay? So if you're focusing on potassium-rich foods, that's going to be a great way to start. So, your leafy greens, your avocado, sweet potato, coconut water, what else? Banana. It's not that high in potassium, but, bring it in. Why don't we? And oftentimes I will run an HTMA on somebody, a hair tissue mineral analysis, which is one of my favorite ways to test minerals because hair is amazing in testing minerals because minerals deposit in very distinct patterns in your hair. And blood always wants to stay at homeostasis. So it pulls and pushes minerals in and out of the tissue in order to do so. So we can see things in the hair before we see them in the blood, which is very cool to look at it from that preventative standpoint. But where I was going with this is when we're looking at their hair tissue mineral analysis and they say, well, I eat a ton of potassium rich foods. Why is my potassium tanked? Well, honey, stress. This is like the perfect example of how you can take and do all of the right things. But if we aren't regulating stress, we're not going to get anywhere, which we're going to talk about that. That's another secret. So the other thing is that there are things that can impact mineral absorption. So like if you have copper toxicity, it's going to lower your potassium levels. Maybe if you have mold toxicity and you don't detox mold well, that's also going to impact your mineral levels. Or maybe you have really low stomach acid, so you aren't digesting your food well. So even though you're taking and eating all the right things, your body just goes, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know how to absorb it. I don't know how to break it down. So there's many reasons why that could be happening. Another mineral ratio that I want to talk about is zinc and copper. Zinc and copper play a very close relationship together. Like they literally lace their fingers together and they're really good friends because copper makes estrogen stronger and zinc supports progesterone. And I know you're over here going, great, I'm just going to go supplement with zinc. Don't do that because you can displace copper. This is where we test so we know exactly what's going on. But think about copper and estrogen as you have a glass of water and you put flavoring in it, clear flavoring, right? So looking at it, you can't really see a difference to it, right? But if I put colored food flavoring in it, be a massive difference, okay? So your estrogen is like the food flavoring. And then when you have too much copper, that's like the colored food flavoring. It just makes it so much more impactful. You go, whoa, what's going on there? But they play a very close relationship. And so it's really important to make sure those are balanced because if your hormones are fine, but those minerals are off, your hormones aren't going to feel fine. Okay. So that's a big one. Another one is the adrenal ratio that I'm going to look at with minerals. And this is sodium and magnesium. They play a very close relationship together as well. And when we think about our adrenals, you can't actually have adrenal fatigue. So that's a myth. We've talked about that before, but you do need to be making sure that your adrenals are getting all of the minerals that they need to function. And oftentimes when I come across women who have really low libido, they're really tired all the time, they just have a Herx reaction every time they detox, they can't lose weight, I will see a really, really, really low adrenal ratio on their HMA. So again, why? You may be doing all of the things, but minerals are not doing what they're supposed to. And then another one that I want to talk about is calcium and magnesium because this is our blood sugar ratio. And my insulin resistant girlies, this is really important because if you are balancing your blood sugar manually and not seeing the difference that you want in your fasting glucose, in your A1C, and in your insulin, look to your minerals. Because if we can get our minerals balanced here, it's going to impact your blood sugar so much more profoundly in a positive way and going to make all of the things that you're doing more impactful. So minerals. If our minerals are not balanced, hormones cannot be balanced. Okay? So if you're very much focusing on hormones, and you aren't paying attention to minerals, we're missing a whole part of the equation, which is why we always start with hair tissue mineral analysis in the Hormone Reset program. Okay, now I want to touch on this one next, and that is not focusing on your foundations. Now, if you listen to this podcast, you probably are a phenomenal foundationer. But you can't become a phenomenal biohacker without doing your foundations. And this is often what I see, is you're taking a supplement to help balance out your estrogen. You're taking a supplement to help balance out your progesterone. You are taking a supplement to lower your testosterone. You're taking a supplement to help with insulin resistance. You're taking a medication to help with insulin resistance. You hear all of the benefits of red light therapy, so you're going to buy a red light. I love red light, don't get me wrong. You hear all the benefits of a PEMF mat, so you're going to get a PEMF mat. You hear all the benefits of a sauna, you're going to get a sauna. But you aren't prioritizing sleep. You aren't prioritizing stress management. You aren't prioritizing blood sugar balance. You aren't prioritizing getting in nutrient-dense food. You aren't prioritizing getting in movement. Those are your foundations. We cannot get biohacking happy. We can't get supplement happy without the foundations. If you have strong foundations, then those supplements and those biohacking things that you're doing are going to have a much bigger impact, and they're actually going to work. But you can't fancy schmancy your way out of the foundations. And that is unfortunately what I see happening all the time, because we Google, we go, I have excess estrogen. What do I do? Oh, great. I need to take DIM. I need to take even Primnose. Or I have low progesterone. I need to take Vitex. And you just go, okay, my symptoms just got worse. Or now I'm spending all this money on supplements and I'm not noticing a difference because you forgot the foundations. So sleep, movement, blood sugar balance, off screens before bed, getting in enough water, eating nourishing food. If we've landed all of those, then we move on to the fancier and other things. Okay? Those do need to come first. Okay? That's really, really important. We are just skipping these and then going to all of the biohacking things because, yeah, it is much easier to buy a red light and just sit in front of it. And you feel bougie, right? So you're elevating your experience. But your red light and your cold plunging and your sauna and your PEMF mat and your supplements, your hormone balancing supplements aren't going to do anything if our foundations aren't there. Okay? Very important. Next one is nervous system regulation. So I want to talk about nervous system regulation in the way that I was taught about by my coach, because how she taught it was very different than how I've heard it taught. You want to hear more about what she does, go follow her on Instagram. It's Cara Baroni. And I want you to think about it. We're going to use a meat stick to give this analogy, but I want you to think about it as a ladder. Okay. Sitting horizontally. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Horizontally. So in this middle here is ventral. You often think about this as like parasympathetic dominance. This is rest and digest. This is heal. And then when you shoot off in that way, it's fight or flight. But then you can also shoot off in the other direction, which is shut down. And you can also move through these very rapidly. And you can also be like just a little bit in fight or flight, or just a little bit in shut down. And this is your nervous system going up and down, constantly. And when we think of regulating the nervous system, it's not that you're getting rid of stress. That will not happen. But we can increase, so this ventral, this happy, this parasympathetic, this rest and digest, you can increase it, make it bigger, so you handle stress easier. Your capacity to handle stress is easier, and you can shift in and out of the fight or flight and the shutdown and come back to ventral faster. So you're teaching your body that it's safe to come back to this ventral. And the reason why I say that it's safe is because we don't think it's safe right now. You wait until the last minute to get things done because you feed off of the adrenaline. Every time you open your email, you're like, ooh, my goodness. Or you open social media, ooh, who's going to be complaining now? I have to have all of these symptoms in order to give myself permission to rest. I constantly have to be going. Otherwise, I'm not worth my salt. Did I do enough to even be worthy of resting? These are all the stories that we're telling ourselves. But it is safe to just be. It's safe to just rest. And in order to do that, we have to increase the capacity to stay in this middle section, this rest and digest, this ventral, this happy, this chill. And there's many ways that you do this. One is constantly showing your body how to come back to it. I have a client right now in the Hormone Reset program who, the first week, it's really just realizing what state you typically are in. And she goes, I am constantly wired. Constantly. And so for her, it's not like, oh, we're going to go from that to 100% in rest and digest overnight. No, it's like, okay, we're going to aim to come to 50% of our day being in rest and digest. And then we'll grow from there. But it's so important. And then, so you have to realize what's your home away from home. And then the next thing that we really do is bring more joy into your life, more laughter. Because oftentimes we think, oh, I'm going to regulate my nervous system by doing a bubble bath or doing a massage, which I love massages. I don't really love bubble baths, but I do love massages. But also laughter and joy. What's something that you loved doing as a kid? And now you're going to bring that into your life a little bit more now. Even just looking at kids, they make everything so simple. And they just have so much fun. And they're so happy. I aspire to be like that, right? And we stopped doing all of the things that we enjoyed and that were fun as a kid. So bring more joy into your life. Bring more joy. It's a great way to start supporting your nervous system. This is something we do all of the time in the Hormone Reset program and with my one-on-one clients, is like regulating our nervous system. So bringing and teaching our body that it's safe to be here in ventral. We don't have to be wired to get things done. We don't have to feel like we're going crazy to get things done. We don't have to constantly be going into shutdown. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to be stressed at times, but you increase your body's capability of handling stress, but then you also are able to shift your state very quickly. So if you are in fight or flight, how do we come back here very quickly? No matter what's going on, because you can't control other people's triggers. You can't control outside people, but you can control how you react, and you can control how that feels in your body. That's something really big that we are doing in the Hormone Reset program, is rewiring that brain and increasing this capacity. Because when we are in rest and digest, rest and heal, all of the things you're doing for your health work. But if you're constantly wired, you're constantly in fight or flight, you can be doing all the right supplement protocols, you can be eating all the right foods, you can be doing the right workout plan. You're not going to release the weight. You're still going to have the painful periods. You're still going to have the migraines. You're just going to have really expensive pee from all those supplements you're taking. So important. This is such an important concept. And I see this a lot with women who've tried all the things. Okay. Endocrine disruptors. I talk about this one a lot, but it's really important because if you are doing all of the right supplements, you're doing all of the right things, but you have all of these endocrine disruptors sitting on your hormone receptors, you're going to have hormonal imbalance. So think about your hormone receptors as musical chairs. And if the endocrine disruptors come and sit on the receptors before the hormones get there, the hormones can't sit there. They can't communicate because hormones are messengers. They talk to each other. And that's a very basic concept of explaining it, but the endocrine disruptors are getting in way of the communication. So again, it may not be that your estrogen levels are through the roof. They just may be imbalanced altogether with the progesterone and the testosterone and our cell receptors. Get rid of the endocrine disruptors. So what is that? Artificial fragrance, hormone chemicals, hormone chemicals is not the word I was looking for, but parabens, phthalates, things like that. And the plastics, get rid of the plastic water bottles, get rid of the plastic storage containers, get rid of the toxic nonstick cookware. Ugh. Don't use that stuff. And that's not going to happen overnight. Finish your foundation, get a new non-toxic one. Finish your hair care, get a new non-toxic one. The thing that you can do today is throw out all of your plugins, air fresheners, anything that you spray that has a smell. You can throw all those out. Get rid of them. Bye. Okay? You can replace that with opening the windows. You can boil some water with some cinnamon and orange and make it smell nice. Okay? But we don't need We don't need the artificial fragrance, okay? Such a horrible endocrine disruptor. Okay, so getting rid of the artificial fragrance, getting rid of the endocrine disruptors, getting rid of the plastics, all these things are affecting your egg quality, affecting your fertility, affecting your hormones. And oftentimes we think, but I'm not trying to get pregnant right now, Leah. Why do I care about my egg quality? Your fertility is a sign of your health, all right? Now, even though our sex hormones' primary purpose is to make babies, they also impact mood. They also impact digestion, right? They also impact like how heavy your period is and period cramps and PMS and all of those things. So the more balanced those get, all those symptoms go away. So yes, protecting and supporting healthy egg quality and fertility is going to be so positively impactful to your health. Okay. Now, I understand that it's really challenging to find non-toxic products that work. That was one of my biggest annoyances when I started into the non-toxic journey. I do have a free downloadable for you guys, which is called the non-toxic, or what is it called? It's called the Switch and Ditch Guide, which has a bunch of non-toxic switches that you can make that either I have personally tried and vouched for, or my clients have personally tried and vouched for, because there's a lot of non-toxic shampoos out there, but not all of them are great. And same thing for makeup and skincare and things like that, because you want it to work, right? And you don't have to switch over it all at once. Maybe you start with the things that you use the most. So maybe it's cleaning products, and then maybe it's your drinkware, and then maybe it's your storage containers. And then when you run out of a hair care, you buy a new one. Okay. So slowly but surely start switching those over. And then another big one in this category that I can't talk about enough is going to be your period care products. So a lot of period underwear is contaminated with PFAS, which are forever chemicals. So ew. So check if yours are tested. But then your tampons and pads need to be organic. And they need to have no artificial fragrance. They need to have no scent. I'm sorry. Why are we putting scent on our period care products? Ugh. Okay. So organic tampons, organic pads. Okay. Cotton is one of the most sprayed crops. You do not want to be putting any of that on your period, near your body. Ugh. Okay. So organic, fragrance free. You can do it. I believe in you. Start with that one. Actually, I would recommend. If you're going to start with any of these, start with that one. Okay. That's going to be extremely impactful. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is cycle syncing. And the reason why I want to talk about this is that you may be doing all of these amazing things, and you may be even doing all of these biohacking things, but you're not paying attention to the natural rhythm of your body. And that is where cycle syncing is so magical. So we are so often caught up into doing this 24-hour cycle thing like a guy. Push, push, go, go, do all the things. But that's not how we're built. Now, I want to share a story with you, because oftentimes when I talk about this, women go, but I don't want to slow down. It's going to make me weak. I'm going to not be as productive. I'm not going to be as successful. But living in alignment with your menstrual cycle is going to make you more powerful, more successful, more everything. Okay? So I heard this story once where there was a horse trainer, and gelding horses, or male horses, are much more predictable. They pretty much have the same disposition every single day, show up, do the same thing every single day. You can count on them. They're predictable. Now, mares, sometimes they're really great. Sometimes you're like, okay, why are you trying to kill me? And somebody asked this horse trainer, who would you prefer to show, mare or gelding? Thinking, of course, that he's going to say gelding because they're very consistent. So you can rely on the same type of performance. And he said, hands down, I would choose mare. Why? Because 4 times out of 5, they're going to clean out. They're going to clean house. They're going to win because they're going to show up amazing. And then 1 time, I'm probably going to rank really low because they're just going to be having a day. And so that means that he knows he's going to clean up. He's going to win 4 times out of 5. Or with the gelding, it's predictable and it's good, but the mare's going to show him up 4 out of those 5 times. Well, yeah, I would choose the mare too. And that's what cycle syncing does for you. So when you are working with your menstrual cycle, you're going to be showing up on maybe your luteal phase in your period. You're going to slow down a little bit. You're going to show up at 80% so that you can show up 120% the rest of your cycle. But if you push through and you don't listen to your body's cues and you ignore it, you're going to be showing up 60% your whole cycle. Ugh, nobody wants that. Okay? So when we think about our menstrual cycle, we have our period, follicular phase, ovulatory phase, luteal phase. And on our period, the hormones are their lowest. And this is a great time for reflection. It's a great time to look back. What went well? What didn't go well? Great time to rest, right? And then on our follicular phase, estrogen's starting to rise. Start getting creative. You start utilizing carbs better. You start being more sensitive to insulin. You start building muscle easier. You start getting more sociable. You start doing all the things. First day of your rest of your life. Ovulatory vibes, they continue. You're super empathetic. Your communication skills are there. You're just like on top of your game. And this carries into the luteal phase for about, maybe a week. And then that tail end of the luteal phase, I think about it as a mini nesting phase. So even if you aren't pregnant, your body wants to finalize and close up tasks. Maybe you aren't as sociable. Maybe you need a little bit more time for self-care. Maybe you want a little bit more lower workout. So not that you aren't working out, but maybe you're going to lower the weight a little bit. Maybe you are not going to do HIIT. And that is what your body is naturally craving as you go through the phases of your cycle. So that last week before your period and then on your period, we're going to slow down a little bit. That's okay. That's okay. Slowing down doesn't mean you're still not showing up. Maybe if you have to do a social event or a networking event, or you have to go see friends or something during that time, you're going to make time for a little bit more time to rejuvenate. So maybe you're going to take a magnesium bath. Maybe you're going to really prioritize like getting in more food and more protein during that time. Okay. This is living in alignment with that natural rhythm. Because then when we slow down during those weeks, it's like a week and a half, 2 weeks, you can show up 120% the rest of the time. Just so worth it. So worth it. Opposed to pushing through and just feeling miserable. Someone shared the other day, I saw on social media, she said, why is it that I only have 1 good week out of the month and then the rest 2, I'm just preparing for my next period. That is not how it should be. This is not how it should be. The week before your period and your period, maybe it's a little bit more lower energy, but you shouldn't be fatigued. You shouldn't be super moody. You shouldn't be PMSy. When we live in alignment with the cycle and we balance everything, your cycle becomes your superpower, not this thing to dread. Okay. And then also understanding this cycle, you can fit your biohacking in to support it. So I wouldn't be doing cold plunging in my luteal phase when my body temp needs to be higher for my progesterone. I'm not going to do that. Maybe I would cold plunge before ovulation, right? Cortisol is already, for most women, a little bit higher in that luteal phase. So why would I try and raise it again by cold plunging? No, thank you. Maybe I'll do sauna in my luteal phase. Okay. So again, you can start bringing in this biohacking to support what your body's natural rhythm is. Another thing to think about is after ovulation, you are burning upwards of an extra 300 calories per day. Per day. That's a lot. Okay. So we have to bring in more food to support that. It doesn't mean we go, yay, I'm in a bigger caloric deficit. I'm going to lose more weight. Yay. No, because cortisol is already a little bit higher. And if you bring in a bigger caloric deficit and put a bigger stress on your body, you're going to find that no, you are not losing more weight. In fact, we're gaining more weight. Okay. So know that you're burning more calories and just bring up a little bit more protein, a little bit more fat. Know that you are less sensitive to insulin during this time. So from ovulation to period, blood sugar balance is your full-time job. I mean, once you master it, it's not a full-time job. You just prioritize it. But when you live in alignment with this cycle, you show up more powerfully. you are more successful. Your hormones are more balanced. You feel better. Instead of just going, my hormones, they suck, they control me. No, you take back control because you are supporting them with your lifestyle. You're working in alignment with them versus just constantly butting heads. If you keep butting heads, you keep trying to force your body into a 24-hour man's cycle, you are never going to win. That's not how your body is designed. We need to live in alignment with our cycle. Okay? So quickly recap, we're going to support our minerals, right? If minerals are depleted, then we can't have balanced hormones. We need to regulate our nervous system, come back to parasympathetic, rest and heal, get rid of the endocrine disruptors, support the natural rhythm of your body with cycle syncing. And we're going to focus on our foundations instead of getting super biohacking happy and forgetting about the core things that affect all of the other things. So that's where we're going to start. That's where I would check in. If you feel like you're doing all the things, but you're still having hormonal issues, that's where I would start. That's where I would check in. And of course, we dive super deep into this in the Hormone Reset program because we guarantee your results in the Hormone Reset program.